Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we have another episode in the Strange Things Found in Games series. We've already seen everything from a South Park episode, old prototypes, and even the Uncle Sonic, all of them hidden somewhere in the game files. I recommend checking out the other videos in this series. We have a dedicated playlist for it, and I could not continue this series without your help, so thank you so much. If you enjoy this kind of video, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Today we will have a lot of interesting things to discuss. But before we start, let's talk about the sponsor of this video, Stone Age Gamer. For the best retro game accessories and consoles, including totally personalized ones like this beautiful PlayStation 1 right here, Stone Age Gamer is the best choice. And for orders over $75, you'll get $10 off with the coupon Mr. Vegas 10. Don't miss out. Click the link in the description below for the best retro game experience. To start off, let's talk about the Monster House tie-in game, which was released for the 6th generation consoles, including home consoles to handhelds. But today we're going to focus on the PlayStation 2 version, released in July 2006. I've honestly never played this game, but I've saw the movie and I found it weird. Seriously, I was scared of that movie when I was a kid. There were several scenes I thought were really creepy, and some characters were genuinely terrifying. Anyway, the game is an action-adventure title, even with some horror elements, but it ended up being considered somewhat generic, like many other licensed games, scoring a 59 on Metacritic. But I want to know your opinion. Is this game really that bad? Should I give it a try? Let me know in the comments below. Let's get to the point. If it's here, there's something hidden inside its files. Looking at the game's files, you'll find a folder called Streams. Inside it, you'll see a file named stream.dat. If you change the extension to .zip and unzip it, you'll find files from an April 2006 prototype 3 months before the game's release. So what's the difference? Well, basically it has a debug menu that lets you access game levels, including a level called Proto that doesn't exist in the final version. In addition, it has features to increase your life and the water in your weapon. Just to add, this prototype runs extremely poorly on the emulator, so it's practically unplayable there. But it is interesting, isn't it? You bought one game and in the files you got 2 different versions of it. This game and the next one were mentioned by the same user in the comment section of my last video in the series, so I'd like to thank the user Burby100 in advance for sharing these discoveries. Let's start by talking about a 2001 game called Conker's Bad Fur Day. It was released for the Nintendo 64 and later remade in 2005 for the original Xbox. It's had all the things that made Rare one of the best developers of 3D platformers back then. Fun gameplay with tons of collectibles, graphics that were amazing, and I don't even need to mention its dark humor, right? Well, the game even starts with Conker drunk, so in short, it was incredible, but because of that biting humor, which Rare wanted it to have, there are moments, even during the final game itself, where you get jokes that definitely wouldn't work today. But one in particular was so aggressive, especially toward Nintendo itself, that it had to be cut. While digging through the game's files, you'd find something kind of weird, a tail. But it wasn't just any tail. Doesn't that tail look kind of familiar? Yeah, it's Pikachu's tail, the most famous Pokemon of all time, and for a long time no one understood why this asset would be in the game since it had no connection to Pokemon, but in 2015 the reason was finally revealed. Originally, the character named Don Weasel was supposed to have a scene where he literally beat up a Pikachu with a baseball bat, and I'm not kidding. This scene actually partially exists in a prototype of the game dating back to 2000. Just take a look.
Hang on a second. Come here. Where you little bastard? Come here. Missed. Come here. Got away again. Sorry about that. But you know how it is. You gotta catch 'em all.
The scene was obviously cut by Nintendo to protect the Pokemon franchise's image, and I really want to know what was going through the minds of the developers at Rare to think that Nintendo, being Nintendo, would approve something like that. Now, let's talk about another Nintendo 64 game. Beetle Adventure Racing was released in 1999. If you've ever played this game, you'll know that it's one of the best racing games on the console. It was really great. I remember thinking how cool it was when I first played it, even that I wasn't the biggest fan of the new Beetle car, to be honest. For a game of its generation, it had amazing visuals, with really fun arcade-style gameplay. It got a pretty good review scores too, with a 90 on Metacritic. If you haven't had the chance yet, why not give this game a try? But what's hidden on it? Well, in this case, it's a bit different. Did you know that in the retail version of this game, you can access one of the most detailed debug menus ever created? That's right, if you've got a Game Shark and enter this code, then start the game, you'll open the game's full developer menu. There's a bunch of options, including unlock all the cars and tracks, test the audio, and even edit the cutscenes. Seriously, it was incredibly extensive. You almost felt like a developer yourself when you got into it. You can also access tracks used for internal development testing, and there are several of them. One of them is Tantorama, which strangely enough is a combination of all the game's tracks. I think I'd need a whole video just to explain everything you can do with this debug menu. One last thing, when you enter the debug menu, strangely enough, the name Beetle Adventure Racing doesn't appear, but a franchise name you might be familiar with does. Yes, Need for Speed. This clearly indicates that the game was initially developed as part of the Need for Speed franchise, but that was changed due to a license agreement with Volkswagen to include the new Beetle as the game's only car. Once again, I want to thank the user Burby100, who not only sent me these curiosities, but also has a YouTube channel with a video explaining a lot about this debug menu, so check out his channel. Released for the Nintendo 64 and later for the GameCube in 2001, Animal Crossing is a social life simulation game. The player takes on the role of someone who moves to a village populated by anthropomorphic animals. There were various activities you could do in this game, such as fishing, catching insects, decorating your house, and interacting with the neighbors. For its time, it was quite revolutionary because of the sheer number of things you could do. Within the game, you could even play NES games, which you acquire in various ways throughout the game. This includes titles like Excite-a-Bike, Donkey Kong, and Golf. There were even titles you could get using the e-reader, a somewhat obscure accessory released for the Game Boy Advance. But one thing that didn't make sense was that there was literally an NES console as an item you could have in your house. But whenever you interacted with it, the following message always appeared: I want to play my NES, but I don't have any software. That's where it gets interesting. Originally, it was believed that each NES item contained only the game's specific code. However, it was discovered that Nintendo didn't just include the games, they created a complete NES emulator in Animal Crossing. When that message appeared on the console, it meant the game had scanned the memory card looking for a game ROM and didn't find one. So the idea in the development phase was actually that any NES game would work in Animal Crossing via emulation. A strange fact about this emulator is that the game files were saved in the .NES format. And why is that interesting? Well, that format was created to be used in an emulator at the time called INES. So, the emulator you see in Animal Crossing is basically an emulator easily found on the internet at the time. It's weird that Nintendo did that, knowing how much they hate emulation today, isn't it? Now, let's talk about the game Twisted Metal Small Brawl, released in 2001 for PlayStation 1. It is considered a spin-off of the Twisted Metal series and was the final installment to be released on the PlayStation. It was released only in North America, and the idea for this game was a bit strange. Whereas the main franchise was famous for the violence found in vehicle combat, this game tried to be different. It was meant to be a game with a teen rating and was apparently even called Twisted Metal Kids during its development. And what is hidden in this game is something fascinating. Once again, someone looking through the game files found it strange to find a file called zdummy.bin inside the move folder. When the extension is changed to zip and you unzip it, you will find 3 other zip files. And what is each of these files? Well, they are literally 3 different prototypes of the same game. Seriously, it's not even just one like we saw in Monster House, but prototypes from 3 different periods, the oldest being from September 30 and the most recent from October 15. Since the game was released on October 20 of the same year, there aren't that many differences in these prototypes. But it is possible to see differences in the main menu and even a memorial screen for the 9/11 victims, which apparently does not appear in the final version. There are also some changes to the maps, like in this background gameplay made by the channel GRPX, showing the playground peril level in the September build, comparing it with the final version. Huge thanks to the user Shade Circle who sent me in the last video of the series. That's all for today's video. Which of these hidden secrets surprised you the most today? Also, do you know of any other games with strange files that I should cover in the next episode? Let me know in the comments below. So that's it guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to like it and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.